Rolling in 3, 2, actually we're rolling now. Dean Gordonitis Unleash This Book Reviews, where I take my time and don't review books for months before I come back and talk to you. Okay, in the past couple months I've been getting kind of into science fiction stuff, and I think I've kind of grown out of that phase already, but I read 2 books. I read Greg Bear, I believe his name was, and I'll update that with the Flash. Boom! If that's different. I'm such a loser. Friggin' Blood Music. That's the name of the book, Blood Music, and a little short review of that, and then we'll move on to Dan Simmons. Dan, a little boom here if that's different. Hyperion. Quick reviews here. Blood Music. Basic idea is really cool, and that's what kind of gets you with science fiction, right? The cool ideas. So this guy's in a lab, and he's making these super smart cells, and he's not doing it under regulation. That's not what he's supposed to be doing as part of his job. And he gets discovered that he's making these super smart super smart cells, and gets told to destroy them immediately, and if he screws up like this again, he's fired, and he has 1 hour to get rid of it. So the guy freaks out. He doesn't want to lose his work. Obviously, he's been working on this a long time. So in a rush, the only thing he can think of is he grabs it and he injects it into his own skin. So now he's got these super cells, really intelligent, floating around in his skin that he's hoping to harvest out later and continue his work at home, maybe, perhaps, or something like that. Well, as you can probably tell, that doesn't go as planned. And this is just the initial start of the book. I'm not spoiling stuff like that. And so the cells, start to proliferate inside of his body and grow smarter and learn more and things like that. And it gets crazy. And it's kind of a reflection on this new nanobot technology that is growing in the in avant-garde science labs or whatever. These super micro computer chip things that'll be floating around in our body and fixing diseases that we have and curing our cancer and things like that, just floating in our bloodstream and fixing up any damaged cells and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of the idea here, except these cells are biological cells. They're not made out of, computer materials and things like that, but it's sort of like what happens when that occurs. And then there's a shift, and the book kind of shifts into what happens because of this, and that's when things to me kind of started to fall apart a little bit. I wasn't exactly as interested in what I was reading anymore. Things are kind of more whimsical, but whimsical's not the right word because it's not fun. More like the author comes up with these ideas seemingly on a whim, and it didn't engross me as much. So the storytelling, totally average, doesn't get in the way, doesn't blow you away, and just, a very cool idea kind of fleshed out. So if you're into those kind of more scientific but thriller too type of things, check that out if the idea behind it sounds kind of cool. I also read, or partially read, Dan Simmons' Hyperion, and the idea behind this book is really cool too. So there's there's this crazy god-like demon thing or something on the planet Hyperion, and 7 people from different parts of the world have been asked to come here, and they don't really know why, but do something with this god-type death machine known as the Shrike. And as they're on their journey there to go visit the Shrike, or the Temple of the Shrike, because there's a whole religion built around it or whatever, and they try to figure out why they're being called there, they each tell their story of their connection to the Shrike in one way or the other. So it's a lot like the Canterbury Tales, Chaucer, whatever. God, that's something I should know right off the top of my head. I shouldn't be messing that up. So the idea around it is really cool, 7 different stories in a sci-fi setting, world, universe, or whatever. God, I have messy hat hair, apologies for that. And I was kind of engrossed in it for the first couple stories, except the second story started to get a little less interesting, and the author got really interested in writing sex scenes, and it was kind of creepy. It kind of came across like a guy who didn't really get laid that often, and so he's writing out his fantasies in this book, just a little bit too much. I just don't need to hear things like he caressed her breast softly. That's who cares? It's just not my cup of tea. Whatever, I'll get Shades of Grey if I want that. And so after the second story, I kind of lost a little interest in it, because there's also a part 2 which is just as long. Both these books are over 500 pages long, and I just didn't, I kind of lost interest. It sat on the table, and after a couple weeks of it sitting there without me picking it up, I was like, this is going to go on the bookshelf now. And I could say that I might get back into it, might get interested again, but that never happens. It just doesn't. I don't pick up books a couple years later and read them again, so I'm not going to lie and say that I might read it again. I just probably won't. So while the idea behind it seemed cool, and I can't really even argue the storytelling, the ability of this guy to write and stuff too much. I mean, it's nothing extraordinary, but it's not bad at all. It didn't grip me enough, and I kind of now have the urge to go back more towards a little more literary stuff. I'm kind of flexing back into that. So yeah, 2 quick little book reviews for you. Check them out if they sound interesting. Not going to say that they're bad by any means. They're fun reads. If it seems like a cool idea, it's not gonna blow your mind away or open your consciousness to new thoughts, but it's not, I mean, you could do a lot worse. That's all. Alright, so yeah. We'll see you next time. Some more book review stuff like that. Alright. See ya.